shall appear before the Lord in the place which he chooses. It's about him. It's about his choice. At the feast of unleavened bread, that's Passover. At the feast of weeks, that's Pentecost. And we're in this feast time right now, the Feast of Tabernacles, which is Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashaana. Is really one big celebration. The Feast of Tabernacles. You listening?
Amen.
And look what he said. They shall not appear before the Lord empty-handed. You should never come before the Lord empty-handed. I say you should never come before the Lord empty-handed.
Amen.
Feast means appointed times. Write it down. What does it mean? It means appointed time. What will happen if you miss your appointments in the natural?
Amen.
Even today, you miss your doctor's appointment. See? You miss it, they still going to charge you the copay. Because you were supposed to make your appointment. In the spirit, there are appointments that the church has to make. If we don't make it, we don't get the full blessing. God can't charge it to our account. God can't bring the full blessing if we miss the appointments. Glory to God. So, I will conclude with this revelation. Listen. The biblical New Year about to emerge, and it already has emerged, is 5,770 on the Hebrew calendar, which is the calendar that God goes by. Listen to me. The biblical New Year about to emerge is 5,770 on the Hebrew calendar.
Amen.
You listening?
Amen.
There are a small circle of scholars of the Jewish faith who make it a priority. What do?
Make it a priority.
To study the significance of each year. The numerical values also have specific meaning in the Hebrew language, which is God's language.
Amen.
Unlike English, each Hebrew character has a meaning and numerical value.
Right.
Each Hebrew character has a meaning and numerical value.
Amen.
For instance, 5 to God is a number of grace. 7 is a number of completion, perfection, totality. There's 7 colors in a rainbow. 7 days in a week. What else? 7. Anybody know anything about 7? You can't think of nothing, huh? 7 is a year of perfection, totality, completion. God put 2 sevens in this year. And he put 5 in this year. Listen to me. You listening? Unlike English, each Hebrew character has a meaning and numerical value. Giving layers of depth to every word. Dates also convey meaning. What do? Dates convey meaning when digging deep into the importance of each numerical value. That's what I'm bringing you. I'm bringing you deep teaching. I'm not bringing you surface stuff. I'm bringing you deep teaching because every date has some significant meaning to it. I'm about to tell you. So what are the experts? Who are the scholars, the rabbis? What are they saying about the year 5,770? What are they saying? This is what they're saying. This year is good.
Amen.
Write that down.
Amen.
This is what they're saying. They're saying this year is good.
Amen.
This year is good. Hebrew year, or the biblical year, 5770, listen to what they're saying, is likely a milestone in the end of this age and the transition to the next. Did you hear that? I'm going to say that again. The scholars, the rabbis, the experts who study numbers, biblically, you know there's a code in the Bible. Don't you know that? There's not just some, what was that, Da Vinci Code? I'm talking about the Torah code. The biblical code. Hebrew Hebrew year 5070 is likely a milestone in the end of this age and the transition to the next. Isn't it interesting that since May this year, God has had us in a transition?
Amen.
Isn't it interesting
Amen.
that God has had us on a divine detour?
Amen.
Isn't it interesting?
Amen.
We're right in the right, spiritually, we are in the right place spiritually. Those of you that are part of this ministry, you are in the right place at the right time. And I'm not just saying that to fill the room with some space, some words. You are in the right place at the right. If there was ever a day that you should be in church, today is that day.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Now listen. Are you listening?
Amen.
One scholar has studied the Torah and the frequency of years mentioned throughout the Torah code. Of the 20 years, how many years?
20 years.
Of the 20 years he studied out, 5770, the year 5770, or the year 2010, they're the same. Spiritually, 5770. Naturally, 2010. It's the same thing. We're in it now. You listening?
Yes.
Of the 20 years he studied, 5770, or the year 2010, was mentioned far more than any other year.
Amen.
When most other years are mentioned hundreds or thousands of times, listen, 5770, the year 5770, which we entered into Friday night, turns up randomly in the Torah 222,503 instances. That's how important this number and this year is going to be for you. Did you hear that? The scholars remarks about this. The year 5770 or AD 2010 is potentially present in such large numbers that it is almost impossible to estimate its probability of significance statistically.
Wow.
If the alphabet and the numbering system were actually designed with coding in mind, then 5770, which we're in right now, is a significant year just by its sheer numbers. Listen. Another Hebrew scholar writes about the spiritual significance of 5770, the year 5770. The number of the Hebrew year 5770, listen, is pregnant with great meaning. We are living the times, what I say?
Living the times.
That the earth is coming into a new comprehension of holiness in the physical realm. There is some talk about the emerging glory of Solomon's temple. Write down that word glory because I'm going to teach you about it next week. Glory. There is some talk about the emerging glory of Solomon's temple, which boldly displays the glory of God and his renown in the world. Folks, you've been sitting underneath my teaching. I taught you a couple weeks ago that David prepared over $3 billion for the temple that Solomon was going to build.
Amen.
David couldn't build it. The people also gave billions of dollars towards the building of the temple that these scholars and these rabbis are saying God is going to bring that back in the earth.
Amen. Yep.
In this year. Let me just give you a little clue. Glory means abundance.
Yeah.
Here we go. Put those hands together.